'Cause I'm broken when I'm lonesome, and I don't feel right when you've gone away. 'Cause I'm broken when I'm lonesome, and I don't feel right when you've gone away. You've gone away. You don't feel me here anymore.
What's going on, YouTubers, for ladies and gentlemen? It's the Natural Scream Thriller, and welcome everyone to Impact Wrestling Review, the show from September 2nd, 2021. And, they were in Nashville, Tennessee, in the Skyway Studios with Matt Striker and D'Lo Brown as commentators. And let's get to it. First off, the opening show showed a graphic in dedication to the unfortunate passing of Daffney, and let's give recipes to Daffney. The tributes to continues for this September of of me calling that myself Natural Scream Thriller in the honor of Daffney. I scream for ice cream, but also I scream for Daffney, which is why I am the Natural Scream Thriller. Rest in peace, Daffney. The opening match. Let's get it out of the way. The Influence, which I'm not a fan of. Madison Rayne, Tina Dashwood, and Caleb versus Taylor Wilde, Jordan Grace, and Richard Ellering. Didn't care for the match, but at least the Influence lost. That's all I can say from there. Moving on. Then we get to Deonna Purrazzo. We're talking about her retaining her Knockouts Championship title against Melina from NWA Empower, which it was a good show. And she was there with the Drama King, Matthew Railroad. And basically the interview was that when she visibly violent attacked Mickie James at NWA 73, and basically it pertains for the message of don't cross the king and queen, pertains to them being the homecoming king and queen of Impact Wrestling. So there you go. Obviously, you could tell they're building up something between Deonna Purrazzo versus, Mickie James. Now, first I was thinking about where it pertains to Bound for Glory, but based on what the announcements I've been hearing, pertains to the knockouts, I could tell eventually, but it's not time yet to me to get to there. Maybe I'll talk about it a little bit more when I get to the next review of Impact Wrestling. I'm playing catch it up again, but I digress. That. But anyways, we'll talk more about a little bit later. Tommy Dreamer, he talks about there'll be an interview by GM Miller, by the way. And then we get to Tommy Dreamer, who tells the Impact World Champion Christian Cage that he wants to go at it alone against Ace Austin in the match, which ends up being the main event, because if Tommy Dreamer beats Ace Austin, he'll be added to the match where it will be a three-way match for Ace Austin, Tommy Dreamer, and Christian Cage for the Impact World title at Victory Road, which will be on Impact Plus. So Decay, Black Taurus, and Crazy Steve being accompanied by the Knockouts Tag Team Champions of Rosemary and Havoc, also part of Decay, versus Falaba and Noe Jose. And the Congo Lions came out there, and one of the Congo Lions were disguised as Tasha Steelz attacking Rosemary in the ring, and Havoc goes after her on stage, only for Savannah Evans to take out Havoc, and then that just led to Rosemary and Havoc to go right after Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans backstage. The Congo Lines was going on at that point now, and Noe Jose and Falaba had no clue about what was going on from there. I'm assuming they knew about this whole thing, because the whole thing about of them Stewart going to Decay. I'm pretty sure they were all in cahoots and all that, but they pretend that they're not in cahoots at all. But the match happened with Decay of Crazy Steve and Black Taurus going up against Noe Jose and Falaba. Match wasn't really anything I was really into that much, really, but Decay won. So yeah, for so much fun for that, retains the whole thing. And we'll get to more what happened with Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans were teams going up against Rosemary and Havoc the way they did it, because the goal is for Tasha Steelz, because she's now found a new partner, since replacing Kier Hogan. Her goal is to get the Knockouts Tag Team titles, and we'll get to how that end up being, of what they plan on doing with that one. On the next review, though, we'll talk about that. Yeah, but the match was not anything special for me. Where it to that, especially when nobody was in there. So, Moose, he asks W. Morrissey to form an alliance where it to the whole thing with Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards. We'll get to more of that later. Which this is something that I called for a while. Where it to Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards. This will eventually have to become a tag team, moving forward, and maybe they'll be the ones to become the next tag team champions against the Good Brothers. If it's not gonna be Rich Swann and William Mack, it's gonna be probably these guys. We'll see how that turns out, especially with the storyline with Rich Swann with the Good Brothers, and with William Mack with the injury storyline right now. But we'll see. Steve Macklin, he challenges Pete Williams to a match for the next Impact Wrestling show, and he was intense in this promo, and he says, mayhem for all, and that was it, and he basically got my attention. We're just him calling that promo backstage. So, and we're gonna see that match between the two guys again. So, Moose goes out Eddie Edwards. Eddie Edwards reply. He came out and they start fighting, but we all know what this was gonna lead to. It was a trap for W. Morrissey to be up on Eddie Edwards, and that's basically what it was. So the numbers gang got the best of Eddie Edwards at the end of the day. Fall Out Boy and No Way Jose claimed that they had nothing to do with Tasha Steelz being the attacker. Bullshit. Also, we see TJP woken up to them. I thought there was gonna be like some kind of tensions because TJP and Fall Out Boy, are former partners at this point. But and then they start doing this whole thing of the broomstick that TJP always carried him with and all that. And I guess they were cool after that. And then No Way Jose did with TJP as well. And now also they're cool too. And then TJP talked about we should go to Swingers Palace. And Fall Out Boy was second guessing it, and TJP's like, just trust me. And we'll get to that when we get to the next review. Because I think to myself, okay, maybe we'll see that later on. But no, it ends up being on the next Impact Wrestling show, which we'll get to that when I get to the next review of it. So, now, how do I feel about how I feel about the storyline? I mean, the segment, I should say. How I feel about the segment? TJP, now being with with Fall Out Boy, which I don't mind. But the fact that he's with No Way Jose, yeah, don't know how I feel about that. Fine by design. They talk about everything that's happened with Rhino being punished because they failed to retain the titles, and then they failed to regain the titles too because of Rhino. So this is the way to be back into the Fine by Design prison house they were in, and basically to help revive the monster and Rhino again, because he feel like he's losing that monster once again, whatever. And we'll get to more of that when we get to the next review of it. So Josh Alexander, he issues the open challenge pertains to who's going to be accepting the open challenge of the Exhibition Championship title match that he's going to be doing. And there was a former Exhibition champion, because that was the whole thing of any former Exhibition champions that wants to accept this open challenge, he will defend the title against that person. And it ends up being Jake Crist. And wow, that's great. Now, obviously, it's going to be a one-time thing, obviously, but the match happened. Jake Crist looked like he was holding back. They really haven't do much, which I don't understand. I mean, I'm pretty sure they call him up to showcase what he can do, because he is pretty good, Jake Crist. But in this match, they didn't really show that much. I was expecting a competition back and forth, but no, it was just all to showcase Josh Alexander, which I'm fine with either way, because Josh Alexander he is great. But I was expecting the competition. I was expecting a great match that would steal the show here. But to me, I feel like this match didn't do it for me. I mean, this match I meant to say it didn't really do it for me on this show. So in the end, Josh Alexander got the win. Basically it was an easy win. So, and then After the match, Jim Miller interviews Josh Alexander, says that he defended the title against an unknown opponent, proving why he should be in the discussion of being the greatest X Division champion of all time. And then Chris Sabin comes out of nowhere. Hell, Sabin, the same Chris Sabin who beat Moose, who also beat Sami Callihan. Just wait, he's gonna beat Eddie Edwards too, somewhere down the line. Won't surprise me if they do. Because it's pushed Chris Sabin coming out of nowhere. And then, and this led to him saying that if Josh Alexander wants to be the best, he needs to beat the best, which is, one of the greatest exhibition wrestlers, of all time, who was a former 8-time champion. And Chris Sabin says, will you accept? And then Josh Alexander said he accepts, and that's it. So it's on for Victory Road on September 18th. Chris Sabin versus Josh Alexander, and Chris Sabin is looking to become a 9-time exhibition champion. That'll be the biggest mistake ever, because of all this push, all of a sudden come out of nowhere for Chris Sabin becoming the exhibition champion, out of Josh Alexander's expense of him doing great things right now for the exhibition. That'll be a big mistake. Am I expecting to see the match how great it's going to be? Of course. I believe it's going to be a great match. Just as long as Chris Sabin doesn't win. Just saying. But we'll see. Sam Beal's casting calls for all wrestlers who are looking to become professionals. Brian Myers was the judge with these new recruits. Quickly start cutting all of them. Especially one that spoke Spanish and everything, except for 2 guys. One of them ends up being Mandy Lemons, meant to say, and outlandish Zicky Dice. Yes, remember if you remember me covering back in in NWA's coverage on YouTube. Outlandish, I should say. Outlandish Zicky Dice was a former NWA World Television Champion when he beat Ricky Starks at the time, and then he was gone after that because he wanted to be released. He wanted to be released of his contract, whatever, and he was in. I remember him wrestling on dark matches in AEW, and now here he is. Apparently, he signed with Impact Wrestling. And now he's part of this whole thing where he's going to be under the tutoring of Brian Myers. Even though Zicky Dice has been around longer, I'm pretty sure he's been around longer than Brian Myers, but I digress. But either way, good seeing him though. And yeah, at the time I didn't like his character at the time. He looked like an old school wrestler, the way he carried himself and everything. But the way he was carrying himself, I was not a big fan of it. And I like. I don't know. It just gave me that type of vibe. But I started warm up back to him. So hopefully they'll do the good things for him in Impact Wrestling here. So we'll see. Better than Joey Ryan, I'll say that. Just saying. But yeah, I like liking this so far. It's good. So yeah, the new recruits for Sam Beal. For Brian Myers, I should say. Along with Sam Beal, is Manny Lemons and outlandish Zicky Dice. Ray Rajul and Shira versus Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green in this tag team match. Match itself was decent for what it was. Chelsea Green got some shots in, and then we get Ray Rajul doing what he did to Chelsea Green. Jumping knee strike to Chelsea Green. Basically, I'm just going to go to the end of the match here, and got the win. And Rajul got the win. Shira was looking guilty, but at the same time, he was like, she shouldn't have been in the first place and everything. That's basically the story they're telling here, is that she shouldn't have been in the first place because it's all about men's in this match, and not about women's. So yeah, and the story is going to still continue on, based on what they did on the next Impact Wrestling show, which we'll get to. Kimberly and Su Young, they talk about how some souls that they capture were are meant to be vanquished. But other shows that the catcher retains to having them join alongside with them. So what pertains to Brandi Lauren, they decided to not kill her off and decided to have her be to be also looking like Soo Young and Kimberly. So when I saw that part, because remember I talked about it before, if unless they recruit her to be part of this whole faction they're gonna be doing with Soo Young and Kimberly, I'll be cool with that. But if they didn't do it and they just kill her off, I would have said fuck you, Impact Wrestling. But because they didn't do that and they have Brandi Lauren to be part of it, I take it back. I apologize, and but obviously I was with me saying fuck Impact Wrestling and all that would have been out of love, obviously. So, but at the same time, yeah, I like it. I want to see how it's gonna be, how she's gonna look, from head to toe now, because they didn't really show her from head to toe, basically. But I'm interested. I'm very interested, and I'll get to more about what they did with that on the next Impact Wrestling show, which we'll get to. I don't know where they're going with that, but we'll see we'll see how that turns out. But I'm interested now. I'm very interested. The Impact World Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers, came out to address Rich Swann and Willie Mack. When Carl Anderson came out talking, I skipped it because fuck Carl Anderson. And yeah, I know what I'm talking about with that. For those who watched the Sean show, for those who watch, pertains to last week where I did the live reaction for Dynamite, and also where it pertains to what WWE did, which I thought was a decent move that WWE did, pertains to what happened with Daffney, and to help out others that are dealing with mental issues and everything, and they having suicide thoughts and all that. WWE did something very nice with that whole thing, and the Carl Anderson coming out of nowhere like a fucking asshole and saying that shit. It was a bad timing, not the right time to do that. Especially when one of Pro Wrestling colleagues and Daffney did what she did, and Carl Anderson backtracking and everything. Fuck him. He can go straight to fucking hell. I don't think I'll ever forgive him now, Carl Anderson. But Doc Gallows says something too, by the way. Basically saying we might to the hospital and everything, whatever. And then this led to Rich Swann coming out to beat up on the Good Brothers, and then we have referees come out and everything. Basically, they may look strong here, basically showing his dangerous side, like he always had, when it pertains to him being the black version of Sami Callihan. So yeah. So afterwards, he was backstage. He's being held back. Scott D'Amore comes in and tells Rich Swann that you want the Good Brothers, I'll give you Carl Anderson in a bunkhouse match. Or a bunkhouse brawl, which we'll get to that when we get to the next Impact Wrestling review. So yeah, when I heard about that, it's gonna be Carl Anderson in the match, and so Rich Swann, kick his fucking ass. Even if you do it in a shoot way, kick his fucking ass at this point, because I don't give a fuck anymore. Fuck Carl Anderson. He could stick that machine gun up his ass for all I care. But I digress. Ace Austin with Madman Fulton versus Tom Dreamer, the main event. If Tom Dreamer wins, he will be added to the match for the Impact World title at Victory Road. Match happens, ends up being pretty decent. Tom Dreamer looks like he's going to win, but Madman Fulton makes sure to have Ace Austin's foot on the rope. Basically, Ace Austin would have lost to Tom Dreamer, who barely wins matches anymore. And then Madman Fulton was targeted by Tom Dreamer at one point, and then Tom Dreamer, because of that led to the distraction for Ace Austin to give him the fold and get the win. So there you go, folks. It's still gonna be 1-on-1, which is great, and that will do it for this edition for Impact Wrestling. Not much to say. Three. I think that's 5. 5 matches were the total wrestling for this edition for Impact Wrestling from September 2nd, 2021. And my overall rating for the show, I'm gonna go with a 7.5 out of 10. Good show. For what it was. So, but with that being said, thank you all for watching. For It's the Nacho Scream. Thriller, saying peace on the street for you to stay well, stay safe, take care of yourself, everything that's going on in the world. Wear your mask, wear your gloves, get vaccinated any way you can. Be respectful, show love to one another by God blessing one another, live in peace and harmony for us all. Be better, be respectful, be appreciative, and live in peace and harmony for us all. And with that being said, thanks for watching. Y'all take care.